Hey, how's it going? Dan Quillen here, physical therapist, athletic trainer, and certified strength and conditioning specialist. I had a family reach out to me about a couple weeks ago in regards to a seventh grader who's going to start a lifting program. And they sent me the program and they asked that I kind of go over some things and give my 2 cents on what it was that they had and whether or not it'd be effective for their athletes. So I kind of made some notes. I thought it'd be fun to share what I found, what I thought, and my reaction to it. So once again, mom has a seventh grade male and wants to know whether or not the program's effective. And the big thing that mom had concern was for flexibility, agility, explosiveness, and strength during the summer routine coming up here, and just any risk factors or anything associated with that. So we talk about seventh and eighth graders coming in and doing lifting, speed, agility, sports performance, any of those big things. Around that age group, what we're really looking for is kind of movement competency. Are they squatting properly? Do they hinge at the hips right? Do they lunge safely? Can they push and pull properly with weight? A lot of this can be done with body weight. Then we look at maybe jumping and landing mechanics, speed and agility fundamentals, core control, posture control with these lifts to protect the body, and whole body strength. And then kind of technique mastery before we go into heavier loading. And so let's look at some of these things that mom provided here. Really not a bad program. I've got a 4-day program here. And so one should immediately ask themselves, if we're doing an exercise routine, how many days a week should we focus? And 2 to 3 days per muscle group would be like the max for typically even a experienced lifter. So let's kind of go through here and see what we got. I haven't really dove into mom's program too much, but I did just glance at it. So we have day one, lower body and core. We got a basic core squat lift with the goblet squat. That's wonderful. Good upright technique. The athlete has a chance to properly perform this with a controlled movement. It's a lot nicer than a barbell squat where the bar's behind them and they could have some sort of mechanical failure. But that goblet squat a lot of times is really safe as far as a position. Then we go down to leg press. Not a bad lift itself either, honestly. Not a huge fan of machine loading in seventh and eighth grade, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't be impactful for the athlete. Once we start getting into machines, it can be a load factor, it can be position factors, there can be what type of machine it is. And then, like for example, at my clinic, I have a machine that's set up for really lightweight to really heavyweight, but some people it doesn't fit the best on because of their size. That's one thing we could be looking out for here. Walking lunges. I think that's great. If we're watching the athlete properly walk and use that lunge position, protecting their knees, great effective lower body lift. Even involves a little bit of core there. We can come back to the goblet squat that also has a little bit of a core component, kind of simulating some of a deadlift movement as well, which could be quality. Love basic hamstring curls that loads the back side of the body. That can be an impactful lift. Standing calf raises. I think that gets missed a lot. Front side of the shins and back side of the shins, and that lower leg to help the athlete be better. And then a basic plank hold. Nothing better than a core plank. Most athletes can do it. It's a safe, impactful lift. And then dead bugs. These are quality, basic run of the mill internet exercises that you could pull down. Really simple. It depends on how far you want to take that. But as far as lower body and core, not awful here. Would probably skip on the leg press and just do the goblet squat itself and the lunges. That's probably sufficient loading at this time, unless we're really having good quality form. So day two, so we go from lower body to upper body, and the upper body plus mobility. We got push-ups and or bench. I think most athletes can probably do 10 to 20 repetitions of push-ups by seventh, eighth grade. So I'd probably increase the volume there a little bit if it was truly just a push-up. I'm fine with bench press at this age. If the hands are properly placed and the body's in a good position. Lat pull down, that's where we have our hands overhead, pulling straight down, similar to our pull-up maneuver. If the athlete can do a pull-up, I think that's wonderful. I like to modify the pull-up, having the bar lower to the ground, and the athletes can kind of go in a plank position, and then they can do a pull-up, which is kind of cool. They can simulate that pull-up and still get that body weight load with good form. TRX bands are really slick with this too. Those are kind of fun to use with the athletes. It gives them a chance to use whole body movement. with their body weight as well. Dumbbell shoulder press. So this is nice because it has overhead lifting and pressing. A lot of times, overhead movements can create pain, and older individuals, 25, 30 and up, don't really use a whole lot of that in the gym. With an athlete, they got to be able to do overhead movement. With football, they got to be able to press and push. Not bad at all. A seated row. Not really sure what a seated row means. If it's on a machine, I'm guessing maybe. But I like a bent over row so the athlete can get in a half split stance, like a half kneeling position almost. And they can do a body row on each side that incorporates a little bit of core mobility with it. A machine row isn't awful. You could do a standing row as well with the cable. Classic bicep curls and tricep push downs is wonderful too. Those are all basics. So we have the chest muscles, we have a little bit of shoulder muscle, we have front of the arm, back of the arm. There's a good mixture of things there that come into play. Don't see a whole lot of excess mobility things going on there. So I'm not sure what the mobility portion of that is, other than there's just some whole body movements going on. And then we have day three, speed agility and conditioning ladder drills, 10 minutes. So many different ladder drills somebody could do getting on a ladder. I find that when I'm working with my athletes, uh, they want to get speed and agility and plyometrics or jumping in. And I save the agility ladder for the end of the sessions. And it doesn't take but 4 to 6 minutes to really burn out an athlete and getting fatigued. So, depending on what they're doing with the agility ladder, how hard they're going, 10 minutes could be exhaustive. Maybe they're going really slow and working on footwork. That would be appropriate and not too much of a problem there. Cone drills or cone sprints. Nothing better than just a raw, straightforward sprint. That's okay. Good mechanics, good running forward. Side shuffles, good. Now we have a forward movement. We also have a side to side movement, which is wonderful. Um, Conditioning alternatives, treadmill pushes, medicine ball slams, farmer carries, row machine, body weight circuit. That's kind of tough to infer what some of those things mean. Treadmill is probably just pushing that treadmill with it being off, and I'm guessing you're holding on to it. Depends on your sport, what you're going to target for just generalized conditioning. Lots of conversations in that. Specificity always wins. I tell my parents and athletes that. So if you want to be good at swimming, go swim. If you want to be good at basketball, go play basketball. If you want to be good at running, go run. You have to kind of make a decision what that means in there. So medicine ball slams, I love doing that. We do rainbow slams all the time, where it's take it over and hammer down on the other side and back and forth. Even core slams forward, medicine ball tosses forward. That's an excellent lift or a core work. Um, okay, then we have day four, full body. So now we're into a trap bar deadlift. I think that's a pretty clever device. I like that device quite a bit. It allows you to have nice upright posture. That's where we have this bar around you with the grip handles on either side. And you can stand up with quality form. And then we have our dumbbell step ups. Cool, love that as well. Kind of going to consider that a lower leg day so far. Um, Dumbbell step ups is great. Make sure that box step is appropriate height. You don't want the athlete's knee and hips past 90 degrees. You don't want it past their waist. You don't need a super deep motion. Incline dumbbell press, also love that for overhead. We're kind of mixing in that bench mechanic, and then we're now adding that overhead movement. Um, One arm dumbbell row, that's similar to what I described a little bit ago, I'm assuming. And so I really, really, really like that over any row movement. Medicine ball slams, once again, good. Flexibility, hamstrings, hips, shoulders, spine, not awful. When we get into flexibility, there's kind of dynamic flexibility where we're moving versus static holding. And the dynamic flexibility can be even like really ballistic, where we're swinging our legs or making explosive movements, body weight movements. Depends on what route somebody wants to go with that. There's not a lot of impactful research on static stretching. One could definitely use it. I'm not saying it's bad. It just depends on what you're trying to get out of that exact um, stretch itself. So overall, not a bad program. Some things that jump at me is how much time is each session going to take? Is there proper technique being used? Getting with somebody to look at proper form would be pretty critical here. Wouldn't want to create any discomfort or pain in the athlete. This is going to be pretty exhausting. There's quite a bit of stuff on here. Not once again, not a bad program. The repetition count, we want to look for like an 8 to 15 rep count. So they're not too far off on this.